Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Isnaini, and for this time I will present an article from Charles F. Hofacker et al. The title of this article is Big Data and Consumer Behavior, Imminent Opportunities. So, the purpose of this article is how to assess the study of consumer behavior can benefit from the presence of big data. Introduction. Big data is a very large offset data that is not capable of being processed by conventional system or software. And big data are often characterized by three V's: volume, velocity, and varieties. And big data customer analytics has significantly transformed the way marketing is conducted today. Such data are increasingly available because more interaction with customer are taking place in social media online. It means that where all action can be easily be recorded. In this section, researcher will use a narration device that moves along the step of the customer decision-making process to discuss about big data phenomenon and intersection with consumer behavior. And this article will use structure given by Blackwell 2005. In this first stage, customer sees a gap between what he or she has and what he or she wants. Marketers should know and sense it. Companies can sense what the problem has arrived from a variety of sources, including addressable advertising and social media, and then direct marketing responses. Thus, IoT, Internet of Things, companies will be able to detect that product usage is slowing or stop. It means that from IoT, customer may also provide early warning that is a problem. So companies or marketers should capture it from the big data. Second phase is search information. In the past, a direct-to-customer retailer would have a record of all items that were purchased. But now, a retailer can record all of the search activities on its website and shopping application. It means that search engine can help to answer questions about customer choices. Third phase is alternative evaluation. In this phase, the e-tailer will have data on alternative evaluation, including consideration sets and inferred choice rules based on navigation sequences. Example, shopping cart abandonment can signal that customers are making price comparison with other cities. And it means that e-tailer have to give navigation to help evaluate the alternative of choices. Fourth phase is broadcast behavior. In this phase, we have now detailed digital records of what happened in many different types of broadcast environment. How we know it from transaction. Transaction will be recorded to be data sources. Data sources of past broadcast behavior include cameras in store, mobile broadcast activities on brand application, scanner at checkout, and others. Next slide is consumption. We know that many people like to consume medias like Netflix or iTunes or news medias. Maybe we do it too. And IoT will accelerate the trend and creating the digital data from types of consumption. So managers will need to find the ways of using these new data sources to understand their consumer. Step is post-purchase evaluation. Actually, in this step, we not create big data, but we find positive and negative gap that may be described. Consumer evaluate the gap between their expectation and their consumption experience during and after consumption. And in this path, there are a gap whether traditional first purchase evaluation measure of satisfaction and then commitment and attitudinal loyalty will be as relevant or necessary when the firm can monitor every interaction and uses. The last step is post-purchase engagement. Review and comments and their consequences on others take us full circle in figure 1. So from there marketers start to discuss about impact of review, comment to readers. It means that product reviews is reversed to customer satisfaction, which implied an effect to others' customer on problem recognition and search engine. Next, we will discuss about problem associated with big data. Big data can provide information, can provide an advantage, but we must know various negative aspects from it. First is big data came from the past. We know that big data get from historical account activities. So big data usually used to generate insight that inspire theoretical explanation and test theoretical. So without that, theoretical and models, big data only have a little value. Second problem is big data can record what customers did but not why. Example, I go to market and there are apple and orange there. I buy apple then orange. So big data can record that I buy apple, but they can't to define why I prefer to buy apple than orange like that. And in the past, attitudes and other contracts at time t were used to explain behavior in the future. But in the big data eras, behavior at time t affect the attitude and the other construct at in the future. So what can be? So in the future, we need models which can capture the dynamic interchange between the two constructs. Next problem is big data quality cannot be assumed. Having a database doesn't mean that it can be used for marketing purpose directly. So maybe you find the same variable is recorded. Thus, there can be conflicting data and no way to know which version is more current. Next problem is big data sets may not be representative. So marketers should inquire about how the data were sampled and potential bias created by sampling procedure. If you want to representative the opinion in social medias, like if 20 people who complain about the product, marketers or companies uh, should treat as an insight and investigate further. So companies can be say that only a few people who complaining. It means that some issues of representativeness should also be considered with customer review. Next problem is big data may not generalize. Another consideration of descriptive studies is extent to which they generalize to other periods or other situations. In other words, it's style about external validity. Big data can be used for after period of after situation without the updating of data. It means that data can to be generalized, and if you use the old data without updating, probably to occur a bias. Next problem is big data may have omitted variables. Not all factors which affect consumer decision will be recorded in big data sets. It means that it's creating potential omitted variables bias. Example, exposure to customer reviews on a retailer's website provides a seemingly closed environment for studying their effect on purchases. But we have to know that not only reviews factors which influence to the purchase decision. It means that this stage is tell about gap between the factors that can be influenced, known and unknown. Next problem is big data can be faulty. Big data is a vibrant and dynamic data every second and every minute. In this article said that the value certain types of big data is perishable and may vanish even in minutes. It means that big data should be upgraded to be news data, that it can be used by companies to understand the consumer behavior and make it relevant to be analyzed. Next problem is big data show associations but no causation. I will explain it. If an organization does something, what will happen? To answer this question requires understanding the causal relationship between action and outcomes. Big data cannot to answer it because big data often observational. So, what big data is, deductive or inductive? Deductive refers to about causality, and the approach is from top to down. And inductive refers to collecting data and testing the hypothesis. And the approach is from bottom up. So, big data is an inductive. The last problem is big data and consumer privacy concern or ethical issues. This is the big problem of the big data. The bigger the big data collected, it means more data has been recorded. So the collection of big data has the potential to worsen consumer privacy concern. Why? Because the consumer is maybe or often not aware that data collection is taking place. So this is why big data is so feared by customers. The conclusion of this article is consumer behavior on social media represent a major driver of the phenomenon. The resulting exponential growth in the uses of social media by the consumer and the growth of the IoT hero, the three V's, volume, velocity, and variety. There is information generated relevant to all stages of the consumer decision-making cycle, including what the consumer does, how it is done, where they consume, when they do it, and with whom they consume. So, the implication of social media data on customer relationship management are discussed by Malthouse, and the observational nature of big data implies that resulting causal conclusions will have questionable internal validity. Consequently, many findings should be treated as exploratory, generating insight, prompting theories, hypotheses rather than confirmatory. So this is a research question used in this article. There are 27 questions and consists of 22 questions for consumer decision-making process and 5 questions for problem of big data. So this is the end of my presentation. Please, if you have any questions. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.